Here we have verse 44 of the 5th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus has just reminded his listeners of that Old Testament command to love your neighbor, and then he adds the very commonly understood corollary to it, to love your neighbors but to hate your enemies. And of course, the hate your enemies was not there in the original text. It might be extrapolated from certain texts broadly, but really was not in the flavor of the Old Testament. And Jesus, of course, is correcting that now. So we have 44 ego. This is added for emphasis. So you have heard this, but I, with an emphasis on I, ego, da lego. So first person singular, present active indicative of lego, but I, with emphasis, say, who men. This is the indirect object, the dative, plural, of the second person pronoun. But I say to you, on the contrary, then agapata, second person plural, present active imperative from agapao, which means I love. This is, of course, the highest and most important expression of love in the New Testament. It really represents love that is fully conditioned on the one doing the loving and not conditioned at all on the one receiving the love. Other words give a more of a reciprocal idea, phileo, for example, but this is, I like to call it cold-blooded love. It's love that flows directly from the person doing the loving, and there's nothing necessarily lovable in the one receiving it, and that's certainly the case in the present situation. So, but I say to you, love, tous, the masculine plural accusative article with ekthrous, the enemies, rather than hating the enemies, love the enemies. Humon, second person, genitive plural pronoun, so love the enemies of you, kai, the connective, prosukistha, from prosukomai, deponent verb, which means to pray. This is the second person plural, present active indicative, but pray. Huper, for or on behalf of. Tone, the huper will take the genitive, so pray on behalf of. Tone, diokonton, from dioko, it means to persecute. This is a participle, it's the genitive plural, masculine participle, so pray on behalf of or for the persecuting. Humas, this is in the accusative, the direct object of persecuting you. So quite a different strategy is suggested here by Jesus, that rather than trying to get even with my enemy or retaliate when my enemy is treating me poorly, I should do all I can to evidently give good, to pray for, to help, to care for my enemy, as Paul will say elsewhere, overcoming evil with good.